Hello, everyone. I hope you haven't been waiting for too long. So I was setting the kind of settings for this meeting, and I think I accidentally allowed for everyone to join before the host. But hello, everyone. I'm the host. So nice to see so many on here. Can't believe it. So I'm just going to mute everyone and pin myself so that this recording will, of course, be shared, but I am just doing like a speaker view now and pinning myself so it will record me talking to you. And so you can be safe to just listen and ask any questions you have. Please ask them in the comments as we go along. Then at the end, I'm gonna go back through the comments and I'm gonna address your questions. So you don't have to sit, and remember and hold them, hang on to them and try to remember what you wanted to ask. You can just how can change the settings so you are the host? Are you the host now, Luisa Clara? Is that why you're asking? I don't know how this happened. I have absolutely no idea how I was not the host. What? No, you're not the host. Okay, good. So it's recording on my computer. Yeah, I hope it's because I made I created the call, so it should be recording to my cloud. Welcome to Zoom world. Okay. Okay, the person who came in first should be the host. Okay, I don't know. I think we're just gonna continue, and then I'm gonna have a look afterwards. Hopefully everything is gonna be fine, and I can just I have the replay for everyone to watch if in case some of you have to leave, and in case someone want to look at this masterclass afterwards. All right, welcome. Let's sink in. I am so happy that you're here. In case there's some completely newcomers to my world, to the face yoga world, my name is Nikki Terlik, and I'm a face yoga instructor and coach with a face gym and teacher training and all of these things. And I have been studying the face for quite a long time now. I've been practicing for 8 years myself, and I've been sharing the techniques for 5 years and had a lot of women through my courses and my programs. So, face yoga is kind of new-ish. So, so we're still discovering a lot of things about the face, just like the cosmetic surgeons, just like everyone else who's interested in the face beauty industry. All the time we're discovering new things about how the face works, how it changes over time. And this is super interesting because we have previously thought a lot of things about the face, like don't touch your skin, you will create wrinkles, don't do this, don't do that. And what we're discovering is that the face, as the body, really benefits from movement, exercising, strength training, flexibility work, because it's not only about tightening, and then you're like here. It's also about creating flexibility of the facial muscles, which can be misinterpreted with sagging or with elongating of the muscles, but we're not elongating this. Like strong, flexible muscles will naturally be in a bouncy state and not be like, you can't really elongate your muscles like that. Okay, so the reason or the theme for this this little masterclass, this little master call today is how to work with your lip volume naturally and how to preserve or keep the shape of your lips for a long time in your 40s and beyond. So this is something that I'm very interested in personally, because I have naturally thin lips. I always had since a child. I had a very thin upper lip. It's very like shaped like this. And when I was in the middle of my 30s, I had some really tough years, emotionally and mentally, and had a lot of stress. I was going through a divorce. I had a sick child that I needed to tend to. He's well today, but that year was just so tough. And what I noticed on my face was that my face was changing super rapidly. And this is actually what led me into this whole journey. I noticed that in the course of 3 to 6 months, my face had aged 10 years. So I was like, that is really weird, because I wasn't 10 years older. I was just 3 months old. And this is really what led me to think, okay, what I'm seeing on my face, I am calling, and my perception of these changes was, this is signs of aging, like my face is aging. But what I noticed, what that is, wasn't signs of aging. It was signs of stress, tension, emotional imprints, emotional energy that was running from my body to my, looping around in my body and my face. So one of the things that I noticed was that my lips were starting to get really thin. I already at 35 had a few lip lines. And I was noticing that the corners of my mouth was starting to droop a little bit. I looked a little more angry, a little challenged, tired, which I was. So that was, no wonder my face had started to change. But I noticed that it was all about, the what was happening in my world, inside and outside, and it wasn't so much about the time that had passed. Does that make sense? So I really called out this. Okay, so this is not signs of aging. This is signs of something else is going on here. And so that led me into face yoga. And quite quickly, I noticed that I could reverse a lot of the things that I was labeling as aging. I could reverse loss of volume of the cheeks, changes to my eye area. I used to have quite a, I got like one eye that was drooping a little bit. My one eyebrow was lower than the other. I had some asymmetries, which is often also caused by emotional trauma, physical trauma. It could be concussion or hurting your head, and it can be caused by a lot of things. So I started to see that these things were actually reversing, and I got really, really curious, because what was the whole deal about this? And that led me into this journey with face yoga, learning new techniques. First, I was all about building muscles, and now I'm more. The technique that I'm teaching and sharing is a 5-pillar technique. We're not going to talk too much about it today, because it's for the teacher trainees. It's quite an extensive way of looking at the face. But what we're going to talk about today is what is the facial anatomy, so that you can take an informed choice when you are going to look at, when you decide on what you want to do for facial rejuvenation. Because you may look at your face and think, okay, so what's my options? I want to do, I want to look my best. I want to look refreshed. I want to look rejuvenated. It's not about looking like we're 20. It's just about, recognizing yourself in a mirror, feeling good about yourself, feeling that what you're expressing through your face is something that you also feel inside. And this is why face yoga is the most potent and magnificent tool, because it's not only working on your outside, it's also working on your inside, and it's also working on the connection, the kind of, I like how my light is changing when I do this. It's also working on how, the expression that it comes through your face clearly. It's like, this is how I feel, I can express. And this is something that we accidentally bypass when we start to use things as Botox and fillers, because it's not working in the same way. It works 100% just superficially in terms of, I want to look this way. And so that's, that's the goal of cosmetic treatments for the most part, is to look in a certain way. With face yoga, it's also to look and feel more like yourself, to feel in connection with who you are and what you are here to do, what you're here to express, and also to nourish and really cultivate this deep loving relationship to yourself, so that when you age and when you become like an old, wrinkly, beautiful, gorgeous, radiant woman who's like nearing her 100 years, that you still love your face just as much as when you were a child. Because that's really what it's all about, is that when we're born, we love our face. That, there's no person, no baby, no small child, no toddler is looking at their face and thinking like, oh, I look chubby. I should have like another face. I wish my lips were different. Wish my eyes were different. I wish I had high cheekbones. We don't think like that, because we're not here to really have this struggling relationship to our face. We're here to really, truly embody and enjoy how we look and present ourselves. And this is everybody. It's not just, if you fit within the society beauty standards, because those are all fake. I think we all know that that's like a projection, like that's something that a majority has decided this is the way it's going to be, and then we just tap into that. We're kind of like just flowing towards that, but you can stop that. You can say like, no, I'm going to focus on nourishing myself, my own relationship to myself, because it all starts within, and from there I'm gonna radiate that out. And of course, it's much easier said than done, and this is why we have this daily practice where we go back and we connect with our face. And if you feel like you're struggling, or if you feel like, oh, there's such a long way, just know that I have been in the lowest of low, and that's where my face yoga started. And this is also what I want to give to everyone else, is that face yoga is the most kind practice in terms of feeling like rubbish. It's not, you don't have to get up and do like a half an hour of Pilates. You don't have to sweat. You don't have to change clothes. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to leave your house. You can lay on your couch or your carpet or wherever you are. You can just lay down. You can do a few face yoga exercises, and you instantly feel that connection, that calmness. And yeah, so that's my introduction to the subject, kind of like, why are we doing this and what can it bring us? And now, in terms of the anatomy, because this is where your informed choice comes in, is that our face consists of much more than the surface. So when we talk about aging and facial aging, we talk about a lot of parameters, a lot of metrics. We have our skin, of course, which is the first thing we see, but we have a lot of things going on underneath the skin. So we also have our facial muscles, which are same as on the body, worked in the same way. I've read somewhere that facial muscles were not able to hypertrophy, like to grow, which is like the most crazy thing I ever heard. Like, this muscle on your body cannot grow, but all the other muscles can. So this is of course not true, but you also need to know that facial muscles are connecting to the skin. And this is why we can make mimics. So we're moving the skin in order to communicate to each other. Of course, we have our senses, our eyes, our mouth, which also needs to be able to blink, to move. Our eyes, particularly, we are like, oh, this is so thin, it gets wrinkly, all of these things. But your eyes needs, the skin needs to be thin, the fat needs to be very sparse in this area, because you need to always be able to open your eyes. Isn't that amazing? Like, You know, imagine you're gaining weight and then suddenly you couldn't open your eyes. That would be horrible. So, you know, our body is very intelligent like that. And we just need to know how to make the most of that. So we have these facial muscles and they're connected to bone some places very sparsely, but then to skin and to each other. So they need together. And this makes them sensitive both to the pull of gravity, to atrophy, muscle atrophy. So when the muscle starts to wither and get really weak, they also often elongate in that state. So this is a place where you may see droopiness, is when the muscle tissue is stiff and atrophied. So it's like getting longer and withering, which means losing volume. Then we have another situation which could be tenseness, like muscle knots, muscle spasms, when the muscle starts to shorten and has a difficult time releasing and relaxing. This is also a state where you can see muscle a volume loss, but it's also a state where you can see pulling on the skin, nasolabial lines, hello, and forehead lines, frown lines, and so on, is when the muscle is in a more contracted state, a more tense state. So this can happen to your muscles, and of course it also happens around the mouth muscle. The mouth muscle is very active. Blah, 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 blah. You know, we're talking, we're drinking, we're maybe smoking. If you do that, don't do that. No. So we may be smoking, we may be, we also hold a lot of emotional energy around the lips. So this is why you may have noticed on yourself, maybe you notice on someone you know, and maybe you're about to start to notice this, is that when we are emotionally triggered and has or stressed, we often store some, I don't know how you say it in English, like some lingering tension that you can almost not feel because it's just so subtle and it's there all the time. And you don't have like a reference point of fully relaxing your facial muscles to, to kind of get that understanding of, oh, okay, so this is what it feels to be relaxed. This is what it feels to be tense. And this is what happens when we start to have like a little bit of tension around the mammalian border, a little bit of tension towards the jawline from the depressor anguli oris. That's this muscle. So we start to pull down on that just a little bit. And what that happens then around the, in the whole environment here around the mouth and the lips is that we see volume loss, change of shape of the lips, so thinning of the lips, more straightness of the lips, corners of the mouth drooping down, and also lip lines. And that's a very natural occurring thing when we look at the muscle and how they develop over time in a phase, which is, which is the kind of the natural path of the face. But with the exercises and with the daily routine of releasing that tension and working with the tissue, both the muscle tissue, also the fascia. If you ever heard about the fascia, you could say like the skin is also, some people call it like a type of fascia, superficial fascia, connecting in towards, into the deeper soft tissue of your face. And we also have fats. So the thing with the lips and the mouth area is that that's also one of the areas where we don't have a lot of fat. So we have some subcutaneous fat, which is the fat that is right below the skin. But on the cheeks, on the lower face, underneath the eyes, and so on, we have something called fat pads, which are small paddings of fat in different layers of the face. But we don't really have that around the mouth because our mouth needs to be able to move. And always when we, a fatty pocket will always have a little bit of not stiffness because it's not, but it's not movable. It's the muscle fibers which moves, things around. So this is a really good this is something which is really good to know. Also, when you consider like, should I do lip filler? Should I do this? Just know that filling of your mouth area is not naturally your body's way of being. So it will always give a little bit of a stiffness to your lips. If you start to put filler in your lips, they may be less flexible in their movements. And this is often how we see someone who had filler suddenly starts to move their lips in a slightly different way. Also, the eye area, luckily, in my opinion, more and more plastic surgeons are not putting filler in the under eye area, because it's kind of the same thing, that it was actually intended to be very flexible and thin-ish, have this nature of just being muscle, subcutaneous fat, and skin. And so what we want to work on to regain muscle in the lips is we want to regain the muscle strength and the muscle flexibility, because that's what we have. And then of course also working on any tension in the superficial layer. So that means skin, subcutaneous fat, and into the muscle, like that we have our epidermis, then which is the surface layer of the skin. Then we have the dermis, which is where all of our delicious collagen, elastin, all of this is produced. Then we have the subcutaneous fat, which is underneath, which is a very thin fat layer, can be thicker in some areas, can be thinner in others. Then we have the muscle tissue, which is of course again a little bit of a mix. Sometimes we have a little bit of fat in between. Sometimes there are some ligaments also in that area. Okay, so please let me know if there are any questions to any of what I just said. Yeah, I'm just checking the questions. No questions yet. So what we do to regain the flexibility of the muscle is that what I'm using is, and have found to be most effective in the mouth and lip area, is a mix of strength building exercises and deep tissue massage, so that we really get to these trigger points, these restriction in the tissue, in the soft tissue. Because it's not so easy as to say like, well, that is just in the fascia, or that is in the muscle, or that is in the fat, because they're all working together. Like it's all, kind of, if there's tension in the muscle, there'll be tension in the fascia, and that will restrict the flow of nutrients and blood and oxygen to the fat tissue. So everything is affecting each other. And what we're doing with the lipid technique and the technique that we're using in my face yoga gym is that we're really working on releasing some of these tension. And I thought we should do a little tiny face yoga session just for you to be able to feel what it feels like when you're working on the mouth area. That we're going to do that together in a moment. And one of the most important thing that you can do for this area is also to learn about the facial retaining ligaments, which are right here. So of course we're working on the mouth muscle today, but just know that they're also, the whole environment is affecting the mouth muscle. All right, let's get going. So I don't know how many completely newbies there are today. Let me know if you are new. You can just send me a little, new, or yes, or I am, or whatever in the I am new. Welcome, Rachel, maybe. Okay, so we're gonna just take it right from the beginning then. Okay, so this is an exercise I use to warm up the mouth muscle. It's called cardio O, and it's just like pushing the lips forward and pulling the lips back. What we're gonna start with is dropping the jaw. And when I say dropping the jaw, it's more like a, so you're not forcefully opening all the way. You're just like kind of like loosening, almost like this. And then you push your lips forward from that position. And that may be a little bit challenging. So keep it soft, always try to see if you can keep it soft at the beginning, because that's going to give you more sensation and more awareness of, you know, where are your strengths, where are your weaknesses. Sometimes we also have some asymmetry around the mouth, especially when we're getting started. So drop your jaw, push your lips forward. And then from this position, try pulling your lips back over your teeth. Yeah. And then forward again. All right, you got it. Then you can support the corners of your mouth. And we're gonna do it 5 times. Okay, so push your lips forward and pull back. One more time, forward. And relax your face. All right, don't worry, we're gonna do this a couple of times more, but I don't know if you can start to feel that you're actually using your lip muscles here. The lip muscle consists of a lot of different layers. So we're using different muscle fibers and areas of the mouth when we push our lips forward and when we pull our lips back. And then sometimes we also put resistance on the mouth muscle by lifting up the cheeks. And, you know, utilizing all these layers of the mouth muscle has a huge potential for then growing the mouth muscle and really keeping the shape. When I say keeping the shape of the lips, I of course also mean the shape of the philtrum and the shape of the cupid's bow, because that's all, you know, supported by the facial muscles. Okay, let's do this one more time. So first, softly dropping your jaw, push your lips forward, and then pull back 5 times. 1, 2, one more time. And relax. All right, giving you a short break. And now we're gonna do it one more time. So anyone feel any tension around the jaw joint? If you do so, really be aware that you try to relax into the long big O. And you can even start when you, just before you drop your jaw, just do a little bit of a massage of the masseter muscle, which is our huge chewing muscle. Often that is very strong and tense, and it wants to kind of hijack the exercises. And this can be a process in the beginning of just, you know, learning to use your mouth muscle and the center of your face instead of using the jaw muscles. So be patient with yourself. Focus more on relaxing the jaw muscles as you do the exercise. You may need to do it less intensively, but know also that with time you can start to relax these muscles more and work more on the center of your face, because this is the weak, you know, this is kind of like the structurally weak area, because it doesn't have any support. The masseter muscle and the chewing muscles, they are connected bone to bone. That means they have like a lot of structural support they can hang onto, and they can like clench, and they can contract, and they can release. And the muscles in the center of our face is more, they cling on to each other, or they hang on to each other. So for instance, the mouth muscle is only connected to other muscles, which makes it even more important to strengthen and work on this muscle, because that's going to give structural support for the rest of the cheek muscles. So it all goes together. And some of the muscles of our face are really, really important. My mouth gets broader when I withdraw the lips. Yeah, so this is because I have been practicing face yoga for a long time, and my mouth muscle is really strong. So I'm holding the contraction, even though I'm pulling my lips. You know, I'm holding the O contracted. And it's a very good question, because let's try to be aware of this now when we do it again. So first step is to relax the jaw muscles, then drop the jaw, push the lips forward, and pull the lips back, And you can support the corners of your mouth, so you try to keep the O as narrow as possible. And when you protrude your lips, allow the movement to come from the inside. So it's like not, tensing right at the border, but more like pushing out. Does that make sense? So like a little beak. Because we want to move we also want to move the muscles on the inside of the lips. Everything is helping to give that support and that shape. I don't know. Could you continue without me? Because then you're probably at like 10 or something now. 2 more. Mm-hmm. And relax. Okay, so that is one of the muscle building exercises. It also gives flexibility and mobility of the mouth muscle. Then we're gonna relax some key points of the mouth muscle as well. We have one attachment point right underneath the nose. So if you just feel right on the tip of your nose, you may feel that there's a bulk. Maybe it feels super tense. Maybe it feels like really like connected in to the gums or the inside of your mouth. But try if you can gently just roll this between your fingers. This is going to give a lot of release of your muscle, of your mouth muscle, actually of the entire upper lip area, including the nasolabial area. And if you feel any tenderness, any tension, any tightness, stickiness, it's because there is some tension which is also contributing to the muscle not being able to fully develop. Okay, that was maybe a little bit weird said. I'm going to try to explain it again. So when you go through your muscles, so you start underneath your nose and then you move on. And you want to pinch and roll. So what we're doing is we're searching any tenderness, like we feel maybe a little bit tender, a little bit like, ooh, you feel like a little bit of a pinching. And what that signifies or tells us is that there is some tension in the tissue, whether it's muscular or whether it's more in the fascia. But both are, two sides of the same coin, because we need to release those tension in order for the muscle tissue to have space and freedom to really develop. Okay, so tightness in the tissue prevents also the muscle tissue from developing. And this is really what I see as the biggest, biggest part that is prohibiting, like the biggest roadblock for a lot of people who are doing face yoga and feel that it doesn't work, or you feel like you're plateauing in your face yoga practice. Then always go in and search for the tension, because the tension will show you where you have more potential for growing the health of your soft tissue. Healthy soft tissue is naturally going to have like a healthy size and volume. So that means if you lost volume at your cheeks, if you go and release the tension, which is prohibiting the healthy fat cells and also prohibiting the muscle tissue from growing and becoming, it's a most healthy state. So for instance, if we have a trigger point, it's going to pull on some of the attachment points. So we may both see nasolabial line, we may also see decrease in volume underneath the eyes and so on. So once we work on that tension, the soft tissue has space to bounce up again. So like fatty tissue, for instance, will either have edema, like we either see swelling and hypertrophy, like growing of the fat cells in area where there's stagnation, or in the area of tension we see a decrease in volume. Okay, and then we're gonna go underneath the chin as well. So we're gonna go right here. We also have an attachment point right at the cleft. Is it a cleft of the chin, or is that a cleft? I don't know. Right underneath where the lip and the chin meets. And just gently roll. And also be mindful and soft with yourself, because you can potentially make a little bruise on your chin if you go too hard on a place that is really tense. My chin is quite tense always. I don't know, I have a tendency to lifting it up. Um, so it always becomes quite red with this, but it goes down in 15 minutes or so. So, okay. All right. So this is the way we work with, in my lipid master course, which is a very in-depth course in distributing volume. So growing volume, way of lost volume, that could be lips and cheeks, and also diminishing volume in areas that has like edema and hypertrophy. So that could be like jowls or eye bags or malar bags and things like that. We work on both increasing the muscle mass, creating healthy, bouncy muscle, and balancing and creating healthy fat in the deep fat pads, in the superficial fat pads, and we also release tension in the facial retaining ligaments. Another way that you can get more of this, practices is in my face yoga gym, because we have the lipid collection. So the way you work with the lipid collection of workouts is we're doing the same thing as we did today. We're working on creating, flexibility and strength of the muscle tissue. And then in combination with that, we work on softening the tension that is prohibiting the full potential of the soft tissue. Okay, so are there any questions? I think we're going to move into questions now. So let me know if there are any questions. And while I wait for your questions, if you have any, I'm just going to tell you a little more about the Lipid Master course, because this is really where we're going to learn, everything about releasing tension in all of the areas that can hold tension. It's an 8-week course where we go in every week and look at a certain area. So sometimes it's the mouth, sometimes it's the cheeks. We have the eye area as well. And then we have a WhatsApp group where we talk and you can ask questions specifically about your own face. So if you have any areas that you want to work on, but you're unsure on how to create, a practice that's going to support this area, you can ask me in the WhatsApp group. And we also have Q&A calls where we talk just like this, but where you can also ask me questions. And we're going in and working directly with your area that you want to work on. So the enrollment is open now, and we're gonna start in a few weeks. We're gonna start the next live lipid master course, and until then, there's the lipid collection in the gym, which also holds some of the same elements, but in the lipid master course, of course, you're gonna know like really all the anatomy, the reasons for doing the different things, and so on. All righty. So if there are no questions there was one, I think. When working underneath the nose, is it important what direction you go from nose to lip, for example? It's not important. It just feels, kind of like we're working from the top and then into like all of the width of the mouth. So, but you can also work up again. It's just what feels good to you. I really, in the lipid, like with the lipid techniques, it's always, the aim is for you to navigate from how it feels. Also, all the techniques are aimed at, releasing the tension so you can feel more when you do your face yoga. So when you go back and you, for example, do a face strengthening workout, and muscle strengthening with a lot of resistance training, you're going to notice that you actually have more control of your facial muscles, and you have new sensation and new ability to connect to your muscle tissue through the brain to the muscle. Because that's also some of the things that sometimes happens when we haven't done face yoga ever, and we start, as adults or at some point during our life, and we just never ever exercised our face before. A lot of the time we have significant muscle tension, muscle atrophy, and situations in the soft tissue. So we have to, get used to seeing this as kind of starting from scratch by learning everything, learning to just being curious about also how it feels and how it feels on your face. So if you feel any tension, if you feel like, I really feel like I want to go up into the nasolabial line, I feel a lot of tension here, that's what you're going to do. Yes, I have a teacher training for the lipid method. So annually, we're starting on the 7th of June with the new teacher training. It's going to be focusing on the 5-pillar system, which contains the lipid technique as well. Lipid technique is just the first of 5 pillars, where we're also looking at sagging, fascia, sagging of the face, stiffness in the fascia, dehydration of the fascia. We're also looking at muscle tension. So muscle vectors, really difficult forehead lines, frown lines, nasolabial lines. This is in muscle tension, or in the category of muscle tension. So we're looking at that as well. And then we're looking at surface layer, like the skin, how to improve the actual, surface. And then we're also looking at quantum, like more of a meditative and a mindset area, because we also have a lot of loops in the face, which comes from energy and emotions. And we need to address that too, because if you're struggling with your relationship to your face, it's going to show on your face. That's the big, paradox of the face, is that, the more at war, and the less we like our face, the more it's going to show on the face. So we need to develop ways, meditation, breath work, mindset, journaling, to start to seize and have techniques to kind of manage those thoughts, let them cling out, and create a new relationship. Okay, so was that the only exercise? Yeah, so I have a lot of exercises in in my face yoga gym, and also in the lipid master course. But this was a little taste of how to use the mouth muscle, use both protruding forward and contracting backwards. Is going to utilize a lot of the part of the mouth muscle, because as I told you, it consists of a lot of different muscle fibers, different direction of the muscles. So when you push your lips forward and you pull them back over your teeth, then ideally also over time you want to lift your cheeks when your lips are contracted back. That's going to strengthen the full mouth muscle, and then you do the release of the any tension, searching for any tension of the inner mouth muscle. I have lines on upper lip and they get worse even though I'm doing your advanced exercise. Is there hope? Yes, there's always hope, and there's always something you can do. So I know that maybe, sometimes it's also to go back a little bit and work on the technique. This is a very important part of working with lip lines, is to really go in and do the massages. And I know it can be very difficult. And at some point, I'm also going to be realistic, because we are, getting older, and developing lines and wrinkles and having decreased collagen is part of it. But of course, you can always do things to do practices to soften those tension, which is prohibiting the muscle from growing. And that is often where the, the juice is. And then also knowing that you may see a lot of change during menopause, and then it's going to, stagnate again, because that is the time where we have a lot of hormonal changes. And, just knowing that it's not going to, we may see like a steep decline in the collagen production, and then it's going to, even out a little bit more. So it's not going to be so rapid anymore. But really work on the muscle tissue and releasing tension in the muscle. I have lines too since I was 36. Yeah, so this is of course genetic. I have the genetics myself, so I know exactly what you're talking about. Some of us see it in our family, mother lineage, that lip lines is one of the big things, and it can also, in many cases, it is part of the way that we, not only the genetics, but also part of the way we move our mouth, part of the way we hold the mouth. So with women and humans as well, I just read somewhere that women have like so many more mirror neurons or something. Anyway, I'm not going to go into that because that may not be true at all. But what we do since we are very young is that we copy facial expressions. So we learn how our caretakers move their faces to express different things, and we copy them. So we can be born in a family or in a surrounding where we develop a certain way of tensing the mouth, like I showed you, like maybe something where we have this like lingering tension. And it would be wonderful if I could tell you exactly what to do. Like, okay, then take this pill and you will notice when you hold tension. But the truth is that it comes with the practice. So if you already have lines at 36, which I did, so no biggie, you can certainly reverse those. But it requires more of like a search in both an interest in your face and finding out, is it because of volume loss? Is it because I'm just not exercising my face? But there can also be this aspect of emotions circulating through the face, and this is as I'm just going to touch upon it because it's also really important and something that we talk about a lot in the teacher training and also in the master course. But it is about an expression of bitterness and not being content and nourished. So women often are those who develop lip lines, and it's not only because of the depletion or the change in estrogen. It's also because we have a society and a way of being where we maybe have this this tension to swallowing of feelings and our needs, and not being like, hey, I'm important and my needs are important, and I want to have pleasure, I want a lot of pleasure in my life, and so that develops into a facial expression, whether we want it or not, because the face expresses emotions first. Do you recognize that? Kind of like, because I saw it firsthand, and then I noticed, I got into Chinese medicine and also learned more about like the different zones of the face, and it's very clear that when we create, when the emotions travel into the fascia and into the muscles, through the nerves, like a whole system, and if we're not, working to process that, you can process it with face yoga, we can process it in other ways, you can get a massage, you can have like a sound bath, you can go to the spa. There's many ways to process this, but if we don't process it and take care of our emotional health, it's going to express on the face, and with time this is like more stagnant on the face. So always, I would say for the best effect of face yoga, if you really, it's like, this is my path, I'm gonna, which is my path because I'm just so excited about it, But if you're excited about it too, about your own face, always search the emotional like release as well. Like, what is it that is looping on my face? It's the same with frown lines, taking another very tangible example. I have clients who's like, I don't know why those frown lines don't want to, I'm working on them, but the energy of like frustration, focus, willpower, anger, that's the brows. So unless you find a way to soften into that and be like, okay, I want to work on my frown lines, but I also want to allow them to be there. They're part of my system, part of my face right now. They're part of me right now. And I'm going to meet them and look at them with gratitude. And this is the funny thing, because as soon as we start to do that, often it releases. It's like such a paradox, but hey, we're in for it. It's also a lot of fun. Where to find info about the teacher's course? Can you, if you are on Instagram, if you could send me a direct message, because we're just putting out a whole new platform for it. So actually, it's more kind of like the people who are already enrolled are gonna be into the teacher training, but of course, we need new people as well. Oh, it's night in Australia. Sleep well, Rachel. Okay. Okay, I know what you're talking about. On top of that, I'm also in menopause period and volume loss. I'm not satisfied with my face look at the moment. Okay, so I just want to invite you into the Lipid Master course because it's just such a wonderful, group of women. And actually, most of them are going through menopause or perimenopause right now, as myself, just entering into the perimenopause phase. And they're really wonderful and supportive and kind and giggly and all these things. So, not only will you get the exercises and the knowledge and feel empowered in what, your daily practice of face yoga, and that you're doing the best you can for your face, but it's also so giving to have a group of women where you can, oh, I feel the same way, and you can chat, and you can share your experiences, and it's just nice to be in a kind of loving atmosphere also around your face, because of course you can love your face, and I know it feels like really maybe also a little bit provocative when I say that you can love your face when you're 100-year-old, just as you can when you're a small child. But in my experience, that is true, that it has really nothing to do with how you look and what age you are. It has everything to do with the nourishment that you cultivate this kind and loving and supportive environment for yourself. And then what other people do doesn't matter so much. And if you see ideal plastic version of reality, or how women are supposed to look, we kind of like get that the glasses are off, and we start to see really beauty in all faces, all faces also, not only age, but also like angry faces and sad faces. The face is just a really magical part of the body, I think, because it's really created to express and communicate and be a representation of the person who's inside the body, whatever I want to call it. Is there a master group as well? I have only found the Face Yoga Gym part on your webpage. Yeah, there is the master group, and I'm it's like, I'm so sorry, so seriously, my at the moment my gym page is like a little bit of a mess, because we have had another nikkifaceyoga.com, we have the gym, and now we're trying to like put it all in the gym. But yes, there is a master course. The enrollment page where you enroll in the course is myfaceyogagym.com/lipid master course. So lipid-master course. But I'm gonna put it in Instagram, like it's in my link tree. I'm also gonna I can actually just write it here in case anyone wants to. Yeah, very, very high tech here. Here you go. Here you go. And also on Instagram. That's like where we collect everything right now. I was so happy to do this and talk to you, and I'm surprised too, because I actually feel that this was going a little bit deeper than I had planned. I was planning like more of, you know, unchi, but my interest is really in the emotional and the, you know, nourishing part of the face. And if anyone wants to come to a retreat in Mallorca, now we're at like the part where I'm doing all of the advertisement. If anyone wants to come to Mallorca on a live in-person retreat, let me know. We have also just opened up enrollment, and I'm just going to share that as well here and leave it open for just a teeny bit. Because it's not on my website, so this is why. It's with my good friend Mikaela, who's a beautiful and wonderful woman who does like something called Pilates, which is like yoga, Pilates, and dance. Bettina, thank you. Please more about emotions on the face in the future. Thank you, Bettina. I will do that because I'm just going to give it a heart here, because I really want to. And you know, sometimes it's just like talking about wrinkles, and I want to talk about the emotions on the face, and of course the wrinkles, because it goes together. Okay, so the livingyourlatest.com/glow retreat, and that's in Mallorca in October this year, and I cannot wait. It's like, oh my God, I'm gonna have face talks every day, like face lectures like this, a little bit about the background, the anatomy, why, and you know, how to work with the face in an intelligent and really nourishing way. And then we're gonna have a face yoga flow class, which is 1.5 hours. So if anyone felt like they didn't get enough exercises today, come to the retreat, because there we're going to do a lot of exercises as well, breathing, working on this face body connection, where we also work on with breath techniques and a little bit of body yoga to release those emotions, you know, kind of cleaning out, getting it out of the system so it doesn't like loop around on the face. Okay, beautiful people. Talk to you soon. See you on Instagram, or see you hopefully in another live call, maybe in the Lipid Master course, because then I'll be talking a lot to you. And thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day. You're welcome. Thank you. Bye.